All right, greetings. Welcome back to Blackbird News, where everything is connected. How are you? Good to see you all. Thanks for rolling with the time change. Somebody asked, "What's up with the thumbnail?" It was an intentionally weird thumbnail. Oh wow! Poppy Davis says Tom Brady and Giselle got divorced only in order to save some of their assets from all the lawsuits coming. Wow. I mean, it's good to have arrangements, I guess. That's a good quote, Gene. Nature shrinks as capital grows. The growth of the market cannot solve the very crisis it creates. Nice, Vandana Shiva. The growth of the market cannot solve the very crisis it creates. It's funny because I was on Instagram and somebody had, I can't remember this guy's name. He's a very famous, very wealthy person who's kind of a jerk, if that narrows it down for you. I can't remember this guy's name at all. Anyways, he's famous in economic circles. Anyways, on somebody's Instagram, they had a video of this guy saying, "You can't fix anything, and you can't help anybody, and you can't help anything, and you can't fix climate change unless you have some money. If you're broke, you're just SOL, and you're not going to help anybody. You're not going to help anybody with love." It was just like, what? What? I mean, people are just really like into that. I'm not saying that. I mean, in this current paradigm that we live in, you need some money to survive, right? You do need some money to survive. If you want to give away all your wealth and give up and quit your job and live in the park, that's totally up to you. If that's how you want to go about it, that's fine. If you think that wealth creation might help some issues, I don't know. That might be fine too, but you really do have to understand the physics of industrial civilization and capital and what it does, what it means, and what it does to the planet. Where is your wealth coming from? How is it created? What do you do with your wealth? The things that you spend your money on, where do they come from? What needs to happen in order to produce the things that you consume, or the things that contribute, the things that are necessary in order for you to gain your wealth, right? All of these things they're very connected. Hey, everything's connected. What do you know? It's crazy. But the way this guy was talking was just completely, what's the word? Pompous, full of hubris, very high. I know what I'm talking about. Condescending, I guess, was the word I was looking for. What's up, Colin people? How you doing? Obsolete is on Colin, says yo. Yo to you, sir. That's cool. We're live on Colin. We're live on Rockfin. We're live on YouTube. Do you need money to live? Yes, you do. Some way, somehow. And I know it's very difficult for people to get outside of the system. I understand that. Whatever. People are full of opinions. People are full of opinions. And people love money. And some people are scared of not having money. Absolutely. And it can be scary. But some people are really frightened about it. Really just like, oh my God. It's almost pathological. It's not necessarily frightened. It's like they just can't even conceive of a world in which somebody has less money. They're panicked at the thought of not having money. I get it. But we got here very recently in this age of wealth. In this age where everybody has technologies and the cars and the phones and stuff. This is very recent, if you understand history. People didn't always live like this. People lived for a long time without a lot of things. Anyways, these are just snooze fest opinions from a boomer. I'm not even a boomer. That guy was funny yesterday. He's calling people, just brought out all the names, the tired tropey names, right? Boomer, calling people boomers and tankies and stuff. That was funny. Like, I was on Twitter and I thought, this is what all the cool people are saying. All the cool kids calling people boomers. I'm not even a boomer, bro. You don't even know the difference between generations. And you probably don't understand what communism means. Whatever. It's funny. Opinions are funny. How's that for some deep insight? Oh, I still don't have my thing. Maybe I can fix that. Yeah. What happened to my thing? Where is it? It's on. Oh. There it is. Ha ha ha. I have done it. Now I have a background. And I am happy. Maybe there's some kind of middle ground, right? Where you like understand that money is powerful and it's necessary and stuff, but also where you just are not obsessed with it all the time. And not just, I don't know. I do enjoy not being broke. I mean, honestly, I enjoy not being broke. It's way less stressful. But at the same time, I don't necessarily. Money brings its own problems, as we all know. Sure, Amanda, definitely. blackbearnews@gmail.com. Please send me an email. I'd like to interview your friend. Honestly, people that have a lot of money tend to just not be very nice. I don't know what it is. It's like a thing it's not set in stone. I know some people that have money that are very kind and very gracious, but that is an outlier. That is a rarity. That is most people that have money are jerks. And a lot of them are just unconsciously jerky, right? They just have money and they're just entitled and they're just unconscious. And their money insulates them from everything, especially thinking and caring and being aware and awareness. Peter Dines says, if there really had to be energy, food, and material rationing, do you think it would be undertaken in a fair and equitable manner? What does history tell us? We're going to talk about stories kind of falling apart, but also talk about what's going on in the encroaching world of what do we want to call this? We know that things are kind of falling apart. The biosphere is falling apart. The economy is falling apart. The current paradigm is kind of fraying around the edges, kind of shredded. People are seeing through it. It's a little threadbare. People are seeing through the current paradigm for what it is. They're seeing how tenuous it is. They're seeing how things could possibly shift in another direction. And in the face of that, governments and I don't know, all kinds of in business, businesses, governments, the system itself seems to be getting kind of hell bent on controlling people more and more. They're leaving out the care and the compassion part, and they're kind of going for the whole. Well, the care and the compassion, they're putting that on as a veneer, right? The veneer of like, we care about you and equity and fairness, blah, 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 right? They're putting on that. They're putting on that veneer of care and compassion, but really what they're trying to do is really control you on the, while as things fall apart, they want to ramp up the control. Creative Experiment says economic collapse in 2 months. I don't know. A lot of people have some dire predictions. So if there's rationing, if things are falling apart, if things get more scarce, Peter is asking, do you think it would be do you think the rationing part would take place in a fair way, equitable manner? What say you? It doesn't, I mean, we can already see history. We don't even have to look at history. We could just see right now what's happening. It doesn't, not so much. Not so much. Peter Dine says again, at more than 53 million metric tons of carbon per year, McDonald's produces more emissions than Norway. To remove only 1% of this would take on the order of 250,000 direct air capture plants. Seems unlikely that will ever happen. What was I talking about yesterday? In all my tanky goodness, I was talking about eliminating corporations. If you really cared about climate change, McDonald's produces more emissions than Norway. Well, if you really cared about climate change, why not get rid of McDonald's? Is McDonald's a necessity? Absolutely not. Does anybody need McDonald's? Nope. The earth doesn't need McDonald's, and nobody needs McDonald's. McDonald's is completely non-essential. A non-essential item is the McDonald's Corporation. And we can go right on down the line. not necessary. Not only not necessary, not good for you, but many things that we think are necessary are not good for us. All right, we're going to talk about stories. I don't know how long we're going to stay on YouTube because we're going to talk about stories that are falling apart. Stories that are not seemed to go one way in the beginning and suddenly took another turn. And now people are saying, well, these stories weren't the stories we were told in the beginning. Here's Jimmy Dore, who's talking about, did I just lose that? God, I hate when that happens. Hold on, I got to go find this. I didn't mean to close that. These are stories that don't look like what they seemed, or don't. Shoot, where is this? Did I? Crappy. Here we go. Jimmy Dore is going to talk about the story out of Iran. I don't know how long I'm going to stay on YouTube. I'm going to just say that again. I may jump off YouTube fairly early today. This is a story about, right? Did anybody see the story about 15,000 protesters were being sentenced to death in Iran? And this story was not the story. This turned out to be a different story. Let's listen.
There's new propaganda coming out because they want to war with Iran now. They had the Iraq war, they had the Libya war. Now we got to go into Iran. And so this is the big propaganda. They were saying that Iran sentenced 15,000 protesters to death. That's what they were saying. You probably saw this. It went viral.
I saw it all over Instagram.
This post got 900,000 likes before being taken down for false information, but the incident proved how disinformation can be used to manufacture consent. It was based on, they say this was based on a Newsweek article that cited a CNN article as proof that Iran's parliament voted to execute 15,000 protesters. The problem is that the CNN article didn't say that.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a problem. Wait, so you're telling me Newsweek is illegitimate,
Illiterate,
and illiterate? The misleading allegations largely stem from this report. This is Iran International English, but this isn't an Iranian. This is funded by Saudi Arabia, which is Iran's enemy. And so they put this out, and this says that 227 Iranian lawmakers urged judiciary to sentence detained protesters to death. So the Saudis are the ones telling us that the Iranians just sentenced 15,000 people to death, or as Saudi Arabia calls it, Tuesday. Among those who shared the fake, so a lot of people shared that fake story. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo,
nice.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, President of Eurasia Group Ian Bremmer, top Iranian regime change advocate Mashish Al-Najad, and U.S. Senator Mitt Romney. Oh, gosh, Chili G. Willikers. So all the greats, basically. All the greats. Although the post was eventually taken down, the virility or the virality of the post shows how quickly things could have escalated. People used the false headline as justification for humanitarian military action against Iran. This is how wars start. That's how they do it.
And how many times have we seen that happen? Maybe in the last 30, 40 years. So many times. We can run through the list. These are stories that get out there and turn into something else. Like the supposed missiles that killed some people in Poland that were supposed to be Russian, and then they weren't Russian. That one got exposed real quick. It's weird. All these stories that just come out and they turn out to be something totally different. Interesting how that happens. Look at this one. There was a shooting in Colorado, right? And it, the story was right winger walks into a gay bar and shoots people because he doesn't like the gays. Because, hate speech is on the rise. Crazy ideas are on the rise. People are talking crazy out there, and it's making people do the crazy things. That's why. And we have to protect the people from the crazies. Well, look, this is breaking news today.
So, attorneys for the accused shooter, Anderson Lee Aldrich, say in new court filings tonight that the suspect now identifies as non-binary. In a footnote to a motion asserting legal privileges, the public defenders say, quote, Anderson Aldrich is non-binary. They use they, them pronouns, and for the purposes of all formal filings will be addressed as Mix Aldrich. So in other words, not Mr. or Ms. Joining me now, CNN political commentator Errol Lewis, also back with me, Al Franken and Joe Walsh. I don't know what to say about that. I mean, that's not anything that we had heard from his background. People have been looking into his background, and I don't know if anybody here, are you guys lawyers? I mean, I don't know if, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, that's what he's now saying.
It sounds like they're trying to prepare a defense against a hate crimes charge. That's the least of his problems, legally speaking, but it looks like they're trying to build some kind of sympathy or at least confusion on the question of whether or not this was purely motivated by hate.
That is what it sounds like. We'll wait to see.
I mean, that might be what it is. Right. That is funny, Kim, right? The Lee, his middle name's Lee. That might be what it is, or maybe he really is non-binary. Maybe something else is going on here. It seems like the story has become something different, right? And how many times has that happened in the last month? The Paul Pelosi story seemed really strange right afterwards, right? Seemed very different from what we were told it was, which was man deranged by hate speech and all the hate speech and the hate speech out there and the hate speech and the hate speech. And this guy was deranged and he just wanted to go hurt the good people. Because he was filled with hate speech. And it turns out the story was completely different. And this was the same. Look, I don't know. Apparently, this guy was some kind of right winger and he didn't like the gays, but I don't know. But now the story is changing, and it's like, well, is he? What's going on with this story? Is it something else is actually going on? Is it that something else is actually going on? Or what? The Colorado shooter just informed the authorities he is non-binary. Uses they, them pronouns and requested to be referred as Mix Aldrich throughout the proceedings. This is funny. When the left realizes it's one of their own. I mean, somebody said maybe the story will go away very quickly. If it can't be right. Shaded one way or the other. Okay, I feel like I've said too much for YouTube, but maybe not. I'm just saying I'm not saying one way or the other. what the truth is about anything. I'm just saying that it looks like the story has changed on a certain couple of topics. And bless alternative media and all the independent sleuthers out there who are uncovering the realities of these stories. And make it a little bit harder for people to just, run with the headline. Oh yeah, totally. This is totally what happened. Kim says, I bet Lee wasn't accepted by his peers and got pissed. Right. Who knows what the motivation was? Maybe the motivation isn't what they tell us the motivation is. I don't know. But there's a lot of that. Not everything is what it seems these days. I'm gonna check on the coffees before I skip over to Rockfin. Skip on over to Rockfin. Don't have any coffees as of yet, but a really good way to support the channel is buymeacoffee.com/blackbearnews. You know how I love the coffees, the real coffees and the figurative coffees, the coffee tips. Kevin Chanholzer, yes, I'm going to show some of that video on Rockfin. Kevin Chanholzer says, if corporations could enslave us, they would. Apple factory in China proves that. Oh, yeah. We'll see how much we can actually have a conversation about today. I don't have any Rockfin tips as of yet, but that's also another good way to support the channel is Rockfin. Rockfin, ROKFIN.com/BlackBearNews. And you can also subscribe to Rockfin monthly or yearly, and you can endorse the channel while you're doing that. Or Patreon/BlackBearNews. That's another good way. All right, YouTubers, it's been fun. We're going to jump off. And I'll see you all over at Rockfin. Peace out.